big light appears to me, a bright light on my right-hand side. And this light, as soon as the light hit me, this peace came over me. And I see this big, tall, beautiful angel, about 7-8 foot angel, big, real long, beautiful blonde hair. And he had this smile, like he was so peaceful. It was such an amazing peace. I knew it was an angel because, I mean, you can't miss that. He had a big sword, the sword of fire. And he spoke to me. He said, Mario. He said again, Mario. And I didn't want to move. I didn't want to look because I was already afraid. I don't know if these things were going to snag me back into that place. He said, it's okay, look. And this peace came over me. And I kind of got up and I looked at him. He goes, do you know where you're at? I said, no. I shook my head, no. He said, if today was your day, he said, this would be your portion. This where you would spend eternal life. This is hell. He says, you are in hell.
So now, here's the actual part where I'm in the air. I see the clouds, a bunch of angels flying everywhere. And then there was 2 particular ones I just recognized. Like I just knew them. It seemed like they were familiar and like I knew them all my life. These angels I'm actually looking at. Like I didn't see God, but I'm actually seeing these angels. I see everything around me, just like I'm looking at you right now. The one on my left, I mean, I look at him, it's like this beetle kind of face. I didn't really get the best look at his face because there was so much light shining down from it. It was like looking at the sun. Then I look to the right. This one is more human than anything. Human face, curly brown hair, blue jeans, brown sandals with a red flannel shirt, and the sleeves are like rolled up to his elbows. I know a lot of people like to compare it to the Brawny Man. I kind of compare it to, if people that know Roseanne, Dan Connor. That's who he reminded me of, was Dan Connor. So he says, you have so much to do for so many people.
I looked in front of me, and there was these gold lights, and I believe there was 3 of them. There may have been more, but there's 3 that I remember. And so it was almost like looking into the sun, these 3 golden lights. And so the one that was like right in front of me, I really concentrated. I really had to focus on looking into the center of the light. And I saw an angel, and I actually saw his face. And you had to really look through the aura to get to the center. And this angel was so perfect looking. And he had like gold and copper ringlets, short hair, and the perfect complexion, and he had these piercing brown eyes, and he looked so angry at me, and it just totally freaked me out because I always thought angels would be more friendly, but I realized then that they have free will just like we do, and they're not perfect, and they have feelings, and the look that he had, it was almost like, what is he doing here, or why is he here? What is he doing? And he made me feel so dirty because they're so perfect, and they look so. I mean, I'm not saying they're perfect, but there are no blemishes, and it was just how perfect they look is just, it's amazing. So anyway, when he glared at me with that look in his eyes, he made me feel dirty, and I looked down, and I felt like a shame, and I felt dirty, and as I looked down, this voice from above said, you have every right to be here as much as they, for you share in common with them the love of God. And so that made
and I start to hear this music, stringed instruments, and I'm a musician. I've got a guitar in my prison cell. I've been a musician a long time, and I could hear that they were playing an open E and an A and a D, but it was so, and so I start looking up. I step back so I can look over the hedge of lilacs, and I start looking up, and I almost froze in shock because in this whiteness, in this bright light, all of a sudden I could see angels. And them lilacs were like 12 foot, 15 foot high. They only came up to about here on the back of these angels. And all of a sudden I see one first, the one, his back is to me, and he's standing right on the other side of the clearing, and he's playing an instrument. I couldn't see what the instrument, I could hear him. Stringed instruments. Now, I seen how I walk up right to the edge of the hedge, and I look up, and I can see the goldish, most blonde hair I've ever seen, and it was kind of wavy, and it was short. And I could see it was cut straight right across the back of his neck. And people, his neck was this big around, thick neck. And his skin looked like gold or copper melted together or something, like metal.
October 21st, 1984. They only took their eyes off her for a second, but that was long enough for tragedy to strike the Enriquez family of Barstow, California. A poolside accident left 2-year-old Ricky paralyzed and in a deep coma. While her family prayed for a miracle, Ricky believes she briefly entered a world where miracles do happen.
I looked behind me and I saw a guardian angel, and she had flowing golden color hair, and she was wearing a white dress. She grabbed my hand and we started to walk down the tunnel. When we got toward the end, she asked me if I wanted to go through the light with her or if I wanted to go back. And I told her that I had to go back and tell my mom where I was going. And so I remember her walking me back and telling me not to be afraid.
But as I was thinking this to myself, that I'm not such a bad guy, why am I ending up here? That's when that light appeared. And I looked up at it, and it looked like a star far off in the night sky. Something so tiny and insignificant and far away that it couldn't possibly help me. And then I saw it moved off to the left a little bit, and I picked my eyes up, and my head up, and I looked at it, and I thought to myself, did we just change direction, or did it move? And it went back to the right, and I thought for myself, no, for certain, we didn't change direction, it moved. And I thought to myself, what is that? And as I thought that and began to focus in on it, it just came rushing at me like the only way I can describe it is the speed of this thing was like a bolt of lightning. It came at me so fast that one moment it was just like a tiny little star in the night sky, and the next minute, white, bright, blinding white light. And his hand was reaching down to me, and it was an angel. It's all right. And my hand just reached up and grabbed its hand. I was thinking to myself, I'm going to reach up there and grab his hand, and this hand is going to save me, because that's all that I saw. It was just a hand. But my hand knew what to do. It was like having a baseball thrown at your head. Somebody says heads up, and you just reach up and grab it. It's a reflex. My hand just reflects, and a reflex just jumped up and grabbed this angel's hand. And as soon as I touched its hand, we were all motionless and all standing back up on this ground that you can't see. And this beast, this demon, still had me by the shoulder. It was kind of almost even leaned over a little bit to grab me by the shoulder. And I could instinctively, I knew to stand still, because if I had moved, I know that would have ripped my shoulder and my arm off at the same time and just beat me with it. I mean, the thing was just that massively strong. I knew within me there was something telling me, don't move. And I'm just standing there staring up, looking at this angel. And the angel itself, to describe it for you, was 9 feet 6 inches tall, It had brown, wavy hair pushed to the back. It had an olive color skin. It wasn't really white, it wasn't really black, it was somewhere in between, but the light that was emanating from within it was so bright white that it almost practically overshadowed the color of its skin. You couldn't even really, you had to stare to see the color of its skin. And I keep saying it because it's an it. It's not really a he or a she. Although the body is shaped like a he, okay, it's shaped like a male. When you look at its face, the face is like the most handsome man that you've ever seen, blended in perfectly with the most beautiful woman that you've ever seen. I mean, when you look at this angel, you think to yourself, wow, he is beautiful. I know that's some odd words to say. In the English vernacular, the male is known as handsome and the female is known as beautiful. But this angel was absolutely beautiful. There's no other words for it. And its eyes were blue. And I mean, when I mean blue, I mean perfect blue. Like someone took a portion of the sky and put it in its eyes, or dipped a cup out of the ocean and poured it into its eye. There was no flaw in it. No flaw. Perfectly beautiful in all ways. Other than its face looking like the cross between a man and a woman, and I don't mean like, oh, is it Pat? No. I mean just beautiful. It was completely shaped like a man. You could see it underneath its white robe. It had chest and it had strong arms. It had an Adam's apple. I mean, it was every bit shaped like a man, and a strong one. I mean, just strong, but not like overly ridiculous like this. It wasn't bodybuilder. It was more like fitness trainer strong. It wasn't like bodybuilder strong, where it just had muscles popping out of everywhere it shouldn't have been, like this demon. But you could tell it was, this angel was there to fight. And he had on a white robe. It was cut down in the V in the front with gold lace. I guess, I don't even know what to call it, like embroidered gold around the edges of its collar, and not lace, but embroidered gold. And the sleeves came just below the elbows, and this robe was kind of like a white Roman tunic robe. I guess that would be the best way of putting it. And it came just below its knees, so its knees and its elbows were covered. And I was just so blown away by the beauty of it that I didn't even really check to see if it had any shoes on or not. I don't really remember. All I know is it was big. Not as quite as big as the demon, but big enough. And I'm looking up at it, and I'm just blown away by its brightness and its beauty.
Our King Jesus didn't bring us this far to abandon us now. You were called, you were chosen. You were knit together in your mother's wombs, fearfully and wonderfully made. We are called to serve. King Jesus bless you all.